just got a text here, George, and I want to put this to you. And it says, a fella gives his name. He's a first year in the school. He says, I was sent down to the school shop early for a match and got trapped and chased by a guy dressed up as Scream. Now, was the lads running around?
That's definitely not true. It's not true.
Why is it not true?
Because I know who dressed up as, like, I knew now the person who dressed up, and he wasn't running after anybody.
Well, you know his every movement, do you?
Well, I seen him. He went home, the lad who done that, so...
All right, Robert, you're on FM104. How are you, Robert?
How's it going, Adrienne?
Now, Robert, your point is you're actually an ex-student of the school.
I am, yeah. Yeah, I went to... Well, it was the Deal of Salve, and I went to it. It's been a couple of years now, but way worse went on when we were finishing sixth year. And
what did you get up to?
What didn't we do? You're there on about talking about vandalising the school. Like, we actually vandalised the school. Like, we actually did. Like, but just in a messing way. Like.
Now, what do you mean? What did you actually do?
we put fish. They used to have tiles up as the ceiling. We took a lot of the tiles down, put fish up on the ceilings, replaced the tiles, just messing things like that. Like, did what the boys did there, 2 eggs, water balloons, and like that was taken in good jest by all the teachers and the people around the school. Like, and we still got a graduation out of it. So to cancel the graduation there, I think that's totally out of order. Like, way too strong a punishment for them.
Okay, but I don't know if it happened the year you were finishing, but the guards and everything were called yesterday. Now, I don't know who's responsible for calling the guards, and the guards apparently maintained a presence outside the school, but nobody wants that, guards outside the school.
Nobody wants guards called, but like, it's just, is it George, is it?
Yeah, he was the first fella on, yeah. Yeah,
George said, it's just one concerned parent, like, that just called the guards, like, and therefore the guards had to respond to the call. It's like they were probably just sitting across the road from the school, actually just, as you said, like, just showing their presence there. Like, I doubt it even got out of hand that much. Like, I'm not 100% sure, I wasn't there, like, but it didn't even say in the paper article that the guards are actually called to make any arrests, or...
No, there was no arrest made.
No, it was just the presence that they were showing, like.
Yes.
So, again, like, it couldn't have got that out of hand if the guards were just called...
So you think that... You obviously feel that... Well, firstly, compared to what you did, you think this is small fry, and it's a complete overreaction on the school's part to scrap the graduation.
Oh, a complete overreaction. Like, as George said, like, there was only...
Well, not having been there and not having seen, I mean, when I read, like, property damage, I don't know what damage was caused to property, and I'd love somebody to tell me, because it's you wouldn't damage property with eggs and water balloons.
Exactly.
Unless they're hard-boiled eggs with stones inside them.
Now you're saying, like...
Okay, but I don't know, was the principal egged? And was he pissed off over it? And who could blame him if he was? Was there actual criminal damage done to the property? I don't know at this moment, and I'm trying to find out. Stay there for 1 second. I need to take a very quick break, and I'd like to hear from you. 6797104 is our number. Lorraine, I'll be with you straight after the break, okay?
No problem,
Thanks very much indeed. By the way, there's a photograph up on our blog at fm104.ie if you want to have a look at that. We just put it up a couple of minutes ago of the incident yesterday in Skerries. Also, Maryfield School, we've had a lot of people on to us about that. We're going to talk about that and what's happened there in a couple of minutes. We're talking about end-of-year pranks in schools and whether or not schools are right to react in this way, where at this moment Skerries Community School has cancelled graduation for this coming Sunday. Cancelled it because of the behaviour of some sixth years yesterday. Quick break, back in a moment. Yeah, you're very welcome back. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're talking about end-of-year pranks in schools and the reaction of some schools. I finished in Skerries Community College last year, says this texter, and it was much worse. I have to say the principal is a good principal and deserves more credit. 2 years ago, the sixth years let a live chicken loose and graduation wasn't cancelled. It's a vicious circle and it has to end sometime. In other words, maybe the school just had enough of this. Just had enough. David, you're on FM1... Oh, sorry, David, stay there for 1 second because I was about to talk to Lorraine. You're on FM104, Lorraine. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm grand, thank you, Lorraine. Now, you are a parent of one of the students in the school.
I am.
And your point on this is what?
My point is that Skerries Community College is an extremely large school. There's over 1,300 pupils in it. And in the sixth-year classes alone, there's approximately 178 students.
Which is an awful lot in 1 year, yeah.
A lot of students in 1 year, and there's only approximately 20 to 30 that were involved in any of the fracas that occurred yesterday. So it's a very small percentage of the actual number of students that are graduating. And it's very unfair, obviously, then for the rest of the students who weren't involved in it and have worked well over the last 5 years, and we're really looking forward to their graduation.
And I understand an awful lot of work and preparation has gone into this graduation on Sunday.
And my son will be one of the people that would have been involved in the organising of the graduation. And again, you know, would have done a lot of work with the school through his time there. And I have two older daughters who are both finished in Skerries Community College. In fact, one's a college graduate, but they still remember with great fondness their graduation from Skerries and that stepping forward into adult life. And this disappointment that I have that my son is not going to be involved in that because of the behaviour of a few students is quite sad.
Okay, now what have you been told as to, and I do understand that it is a small percentage of the students, and I accept that. We talked to a lady a while ago, her son was home by 12 o'clock. But my question to you, what is your understanding? What were you told was it a text message that you got?
Well, originally I got a text message. I was heading down to Swords from Skerries on my phone to say that the children were being released at 11:30. So I had to turn around and drive back to the school to pick my son up. And when I collected them, there was a group of kids congregating outside the school, but they'd nowhere else to go. They were just literally told at 11:30 to remove themselves from the school premises, and they tended to hang around. There was no parents. The parents had only just been informed, so a lot of them don't necessarily live beside the school. A lot of them would have to travel from Lusk or Balbriggan or Rush.
And at what time was that text sent out to you?
The text only came to us at the same time that they were released, so it was approximately 11:15.
Okay.
And the other problem they had then, obviously, is the kids are out without any supervision. They're just hanging around. And then you've lunch breaks starting where the rest of the school is coming out on their lunch breaks, and then they're mixing with the kids that are still hanging around. And it just becomes a mess. I think the whole thing was very badly probably dealt with.
And as a parent, are you angry over the graduation being cancelled?
I'm very disappointed for the children that deserve to have their graduation.
I'm sure as a parent you're disappointed as a parent as well, are you not?
Very disappointed. I really am, because there's a lot of good kids in that school that will go on to do other things with their lives, but it was important to them. And I think that the few students that were behaving very badly are nearly holding the school to ransom, for want of a better word. You know, they're the ones that their bad behaviour is what's being acknowledged here, not the good behaviour of the 150 other students that have been in the school through the 5 years.
Now, as I said, I mean, there's all sorts of... the newspapers claiming property was damaged. Other people are saying it was only eggs and balloons.
No, I went up to the school this morning and I had a meeting in the school. I was one of the people that got in, I suppose, before the rest of the parents, I don't know. But I was lucky enough to have a meeting, and I did sit down with the school this morning and discuss the situation with them. And they are very upset about how things went yesterday, and I understand that they're angry and upset about it.
And what are they most angry over?
At the end of the day, I suppose it's the example that they're giving to the rest of the school coming behind them. And I think a few of the first-year students that were probably out at the lunch break and saw some of the behaviour were probably a bit distressed by it. And I'm sure that the whole thing was not a very pleasant situation when it was kicking off with eggs being thrown, I suppose, with younger children there. But I think it was a knee-jerk reaction. And
I mean, the point that I would make is that it's not like this is the first time this ever happened. This happened when I finished school, and that's a fair few years ago.
I've had 2 girls go through the school, and I know for a fact that when my middle child finished, there was worse things done in the school that year. So I don't understand quite why they're going ahead with this in the manner in which they are. I think it's a bit extreme, and Having sat down with them this morning to try and discuss it with them, there was no negotiating. It just was no. It's not happening. We know I made any other suggestions I could come up with, but it was no. There is no moving on it. The decision has been made.
Wow. And you see, what I'm trying to understand here was, were there toilets ripped up out of the jacks?
I asked the school this morning. There was no. I was informed there was no damage done. It was simply down to the fact that eggs were thrown. Now, I believe there was quite a few eggs thrown. Now, when I say that, I don't know how many eggs. I'm assuming they found quite a few cartons of empty eggs. And I think it was more, the impression I got, it was more that it was done as the school emptied over the break for their lunch, which caused a problem then with the younger students getting involved in what was going on, probably. And I think the school just felt it was all a bit too difficult to deal with.
All right, stay there for a second. David, you're on FM104. How are you, David?
How are you, Adrienne?
Good, David. Now, what did you want to say on this?
I just wanted to say, if the lads should have, they build kind of relationships with teachers and with the principal and the vice principal and the caretaker over the years, it just shows a complete and utter lack of respect to be lobbing eggs at the place, as you're finishing up.
But don't tell me, David, you didn't do it yourself.
No, Adrienne, we killed each other. We hated each other. You know what I mean? But we didn't, you wouldn't be throwing eggs at the school. That caretaker has to go out there now, or whatever, and clean up eggs. You know how bad egg is when it's...
I know, it's awful. I know it is. You know what I
mean? So, a school is run like a business nowadays. We haven't got a lot of money to be thrown around that thing. You know what I mean? So,
make a point,
yes, go on. Sorry, hang on, David. Lorraine just wants to say, go on, Lorraine.
I just want to make a point, please. There was a group of students, approximately 25 students, that went to the school this morning at a meeting with the school, and one of the suggestions they actually made in relation to this was that they would go. Now, they weren't responsible for the egging. These are the children that actually care about their graduation. And they went into the school and offered to go and clean up any of the damage, the eggs that were done, or anything that they could do to help facilitate the school to try and continue with the graduation. That helped.
Yeah, you probably find that half of the lads that threw the eggs, or all the lads that threw the eggs, were hiding.
Yes.
And they weren't offering to go back, and the school knows that.
No, it wasn't.
That's why I think a knee-jerk reaction from the school is the correct way, because next year's, this year's 5th year, next year's 6th year, they're hardly going to throw an egg. They're hardly going to do anything like that.
So unfortunately, it's this year's 6th years that have to suffer, but next year it won't happen again. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think that's what's going to happen. I actually think
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the students. Right, the graduations have to be in band. There's nothing wrong with them getting something together themselves.
But the kids that were really involved in this, that were the real 10 or 15 that were hardcore, they're actually thrilled that it's being cancelled, because what they wanted to set out, they've achieved. And that's what's sad about this. They've achieved their aims. They have created havoc, which is what they wanted to do, and now they've achieved their aims.
Well, listen, you're calling them kids and children. They're doing their leavings there. They're going to be out in the big bad world now in a couple of months' time. As adults,
yes,
that's just what they have to put up with. Maybe the school should have done a little bit more, kind of. You know what I mean? To try and stop it from happening in the first place. But at the end of the day,
you see, I don't know what the school can do to prevent something like this happening, and maybe that's what they were trying to do by letting them off school early yesterday. But
I think the school acted proactively, and the school was trying to protect its property. Right, an egg isn't going to break a window, right? It's not a stone or anything like it. But it's going to deface the school. It's going to cost money to clean up. You know
nothing more than a hose would do. Do you know what I mean? I had my car egged a couple of years ago. It took me 10 minutes to clean it off.
Yeah, well, that's one car.